يهاتفني الأمين مع الأمينة أيا شوقاه يا درس المدينة أيا شوقاه خافقا في الفؤاد أيا شوقاه تغمرنا السكينة أيا شوقاه يا روحا تعالت وإن العلم للأرواح زينة.
Book of As-Siyam, fasting. As-Siyam, fasting, is worshipping Allah by refraining completely from food, drink, and all other mufattirat, things that break one's fast, from sunrise, al-fajr, as-sadiq, till sunset. This is based on the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the meaning of which, O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you just as it was prescribed for those before you. Fasting during the month of Ramadan is obligatory for those who are 1. Muslim, 2. Baligh, mature, 3. Sane, 4. Capable of fasting, 5. And is either upon sighting the crescent or after the 30 days of the month of Sha'ban passes. The Prophet ﷺ said, in the meaning of which, when you see it, fast, and when you see it, stop fasting. But if you are unable to see it, then calculate. Agreed upon by Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim. In another wording, calculated to be 30. In another wording, complete the 30 days of Sha'ban. Fasting starts with the sighting of the new moon by a just person, while the testimony of at least 2 just people is required for the rest of the months. It is obligatory to make one's niyyah, intention, during the night of the obligatory fast. However, it is permissible to make the intention during the day for the voluntary fast. The sick who would be harmed by fasting and the traveler have the option to either fast or not fast. It is not permissible for the menstruating woman or one having postnatal bleeding to fast. Instead, they must make up the days. The pregnant woman, the one suckling, if they fear for their child, they can break their fast and make up the days along with feeding a miskin person for every day missed. The one who is unable to fast due to old age or sickness, for which there is no hope of a cure, should feed a poor person for every missed day. Whoever breaks a fast, the only obligation upon him is to make it up, regardless of whether he broke it by eating, drinking, intentionally vomiting, performing hijama, cupping, or directly ejaculating. However, whoever breaks their fast because of sexual intercourse must make it up and free a slave. If that is not possible, then they must fast 2 months consecutively. If they're not able to fast 2 months consecutively, then they should feed 60 miskin, poor people. The Prophet ﷺ said, in the meaning of which, whoever forgets while fasting and eats or drinks something, then he should complete his fast, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the one who fed him and gave him drink. Agreed upon. He also said, ﷺ, in the meaning of which, the people will remain upon goodness as long as they hasten to break their fast. Agreed upon. He also said, in the meaning of which, ﷺ, eat suhoor, the pre-dawn meal, for indeed there is barakah, blessings in suhoor. Agreed upon. He also said, ﷺ, in the meaning of which, when one of you breaks his fast, then he should break it with a date. If he does not have any, then let him break it with water, for verily it is purifying. Narrated by the 5, Imam Ahmad, Abi Dawood, At-Tirmidhi, An-Nisa'i, and Ibn Majah. The Prophet ﷺ said, in the meaning of which, whoever does not abandon false speech, acting upon it, and ignorance, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no need for his abandoning food and drink. Narrated by Imam al-Bukhari. He also said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in the meaning of which, whoever dies while having something outstanding fasts to be made up, then his guardian fasts on his behalf. Agreed upon. That which is intended is that whoever was able to make up his fasts but didn't till he died, then it is legislated for his wali to fast on his behalf, and the wali is the inheritor. The Prophet ﷺ was asked about fasting on the day of Arafah. So he replied, in the meaning of which, ﷺ, it wipes out the sins of the past year and the remaining year. He was asked about fasting on Ashura. So he replied, ﷺ, in the meaning of which, it wipes out the sins of the past year. He was asked about fasting on Mondays. So he replied, ﷺ, in the meaning of which, on that day I was born, and on that day I was sent, or on that day I was given the revelation. Narrated by Imam Muslim. He also said, in the meaning of which, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, whoever fasts Ramadan and then follows it with 6 days of Shawwal, it is as if he fasted a lifetime. Narrated by Imam Muslim. Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam commanded us to fast 3 days out of the month, the 13th, 14th, and 15th. Narrated by An-Nisa'i and At-Tirmidhi. Also, the Prophet ﷺ prohibited fasting on 2 days, the days of Eid al-Fitr and the day of An-Nahr, agreed upon. He said, in the meaning of which, ﷺ, the days of Tashriq are for eating, drinking, and remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, narrated by Imam Muslim. He also said, in the meaning of which, none of you should fast on Friday except by fasting either a day before it or a day after it, agreed upon. He ﷺ said, in the meaning of which, whoever fasts during Ramadan with sincere iman, seeking to attain Allah's reward, then his sins will be forgiven. Whoever stands during Laylatul Qadr with sincere iman, seeking to attain Allah's reward, then his past sins will be forgiven, agreed upon. The Prophet ﷺ would observe i'tikaf during the last 10 days of Ramadan until his death. Afterward, his wives observed i'tikaf, agreed upon. Travel is not undertaken except to 3 mosques, Masjid al-Haram, my masjid, and Masjid al-Aqsa, agreed upon. Appendix. Fasting is of 2 types, obligatory in Ramadan and for expiation and vows, voluntary, other than the previously mentioned. Fasting has 2 pillars. 1, a niyyah, intention for the obligatory fast. For the obligatory fast, the intention must be made at night, i.e. before Fajr. Furthermore, it is sufficient to make the intention at the beginning of the month in Ramadan. Its place is in the heart, and uttering it is a bid'ah, innovation within the religion. Intention for the voluntary fast, it is valid at any hour of the day as long as one has not done something which breaks the fast. However, the reward is assumed from when the intention is made. The second pillar, abstaining from things that break the fast. The conditions for fasting to be obligatory are 6. 1. Islam. 2. Mind. 3. Puberty. As for the one who has not attained puberty, he should be encouraged to fast, and his guardian should command him to do so. 4. Being settled. Fasting is not obligatory upon the traveler, but it is better for him to fast as long as it is not too difficult for him. This is because the Prophet ﷺ did so, and also since it is quicker in freeing one's self from the obligation, and easier for the mukallaf, and to attain the virtue of the month of Ramadan. 5. Health. 6. Not being in a state of menstruation or postnatal bleeding. Types of sickness in fasting. 1. A disease that is not expected to go away. The elderly who are unable to fast also fall into this category. They do not have to fast, but they must feed 1 poor person for each day. Either they gather poor people according to the number of days and feed them lunch or dinner, or by distributing food to the poor according to the number of days, giving a quarter of a sa' to every poor person, according to the sa' of the Prophet ﷺ, i.e. half of a kilo, and 10 grams of good quality wheat. Additionally, it is good that along with that they give meat or fat. The second type of sickness in fasting, a sickness that is expected to go away and fasting with it is difficult. Those who fall under this category are menstruating women, those experience postnatal bleeding, breastfeeding women, and the one who is traveling. When they recover, they should make up the number of days that they missed. If they die before that, then the obligation is lifted from them. What confirms the month of Ramadan to begin, seeing the new moon of Ramadan, or by the completion of the 30 days of Sha'ban. Things which invalidate one's fasting. 1. Eating or drinking intentionally. So whoever does that forgetfully, then his fast is valid. 2. Sexual intercourse. If one does it during the day in Ramadan while fasting is obligatory upon him or her, then the prescribed expiation becomes obligatory, which is freeing a slave, and if one cannot, then fasting 2 months consecutively, and if one cannot do that, then feeding 60 poor people. 3. Ejaculating, if it is done directly or through kissing, hugging, etc. 4. That which takes the place of food and drink, such as nutritious injections. If they are not nutritious, then it does not break one's fast. 5. Extracting blood. If it is done through hijama, cupping, as for extracting a minute amount of blood for a checkup, etc., then it does not break one's fast. 6. Vomiting intentionally. 7. Release of menstrual or postnatal. Some of the things which are permissible for the fasting person: swallowing saliva, tasting food due to a need, performing ghusl, using the siwak, perfuming, and cooling oneself. Things which are recommended when it comes to fasting: 1. A suhoor, pre-fajr meal. 2. Delaying the suhoor. 3. Hastening to break the fast. 4. Breaking fast with an odd number of ripe dates. If one does not have those, then an odd number of normal dates. And if one does not have that either, then drinking water. If one does not have that either, then he intends in his heart to break his fast. 5. Supplicating at the time of breaking the fast and also during the fast itself. 6. Increasing in giving charity. 7. Striving to perform the night prayer. 8. Reciting the Quran. 9. Saying I am fasting to whoever curses at you. 10. Performing Umrah. 11. Al-i'tikaf, secluding oneself in the masjid the last 10 days of Ramadan. 12. To strive hard in seeking Laylatul Qadr. Things which are disliked while fasting. 1. Exaggerating in performing al-madmada, rinsing the mouth, and istinshaq, rinsing the nose. 2. Tasting food unnecessarily. Things that are prohibited for the fasting person. 1. Swallowing mucus. It does not break the fast, however. Kissing, if one feels that it will lead to his fasting being invalidated. Qawl az-zur, which is doing anything haram, prohibited. Ignorance, which is foolishness and lack of forbearance. Al-wasal, which is to not break one's fast for 2 continuous days. Rulings regarding making up fasts. It is recommended to make up the fast continuously, one after another. One should hasten in making up the missed fast after the day of Eid. It is not permissible to delay making up the missed fast until the next Ramadan. If one delays making up their fasts until the next Ramadan comes, then they do not have to increase the number of fasts they have to make up, but they are sinning by delaying it nevertheless. Voluntary fast. 1. Any 6 days of Shawwal for those who fasted Ramadan fully. Additionally, it is better to fast them one after the other, starting from the 2nd day of Shawwal. 2. The day of Arafah for those not performing Hajj. 3. The day of Ashura, along with the 9th and 11th of the month. 4. Mondays and Thursdays, with Mondays being more emphasized. 5. Any 3 days of every month, with the best being Ayam al-Bid, which are the 13th, 14th, and 15th of the month. Fasting alternatively every 2nd day. 7. The sacred months of Allah, al-Muharram. And then 8. The fasting of the first 9 days of Dhul Hijjah. 9. The month of Sha'ban, but not all of it. Disliked fasts. It is disliked to single out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in fasting. But if one singles it out for valid reason, such as it being the day of Arafah, then it is fine. Impermissible fasts. 1. To single out the month of Rajab in fasting. 2. The fasting on the 2 days of Eid. 3. Fasting the day of doubt, except for someone continuing their pattern of fasting, in which case it is fine. 4. Fasting on the days of Tashriq, 11th, 12th, and 13th of Dhul Hijjah, except for someone who did not find al-Hadi in al-Hajj. 5. Fasting the whole year.